Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on converting leads from online ads. My name is Austin Bondison. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager here at Zen Planner.
And I'm Sara Gunning. I'm the Manager of Paid Advertising here at Zen Planner.
Cool. So just like with all of our webinars, this will be recorded and sent out in a follow-up email. So if you have to step out at any point or miss a section, you'll be able to rewatch that from the email that I send out. Otherwise, feel free to chat in any questions that you have into the Q&A, and we'll be answering those at the end of the webinar. But let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so I wanted to dive into some of the specifics and things to consider when managing your Facebook campaigns. I am going to focus mostly on Facebook today. We can get really in depth on all the media channels. Maybe we'll set up another webinar for Google at another time, but I am going to focus mostly on Facebook today. Facebook is really great for reaching your target audience. They have a ton of demographic options within the platform to find your audience, and they're typically at a lower cost compared to some of the other channels like Google. So one of the biggest questions that we get, and definitely has a role in how likely your leads are to convert, is your budget. In general, the rule here is combine your budget when possible if you have limited resources. For example, if you have $500 a month that you're using to go to online ads, it's better to have that going towards one campaign than it is to spread that out between 2 or 3 campaigns. Of course, it might be plenty to have $250 going to 2 campaigns, but as a general rule, you're going to get more out of your campaign the more you put into it. So instead of having 3 different campaigns promoting 3 different offers, you might have a kids campaign, a self-defense campaign, and a group fitness campaign, something like that. Can you make that more concise? Can you consolidate that to one campaign with a more general offer and general verbiage on it and put your entire budget towards that campaign? Testing really interacts with your budget and affects how that budget is spent. We'll get into that next, but that's why we're saying put more into one single campaign rather than spread it out. Your budget is also going to help determine your ad strategy and what objectives within the Facebook platform make the most sense for you. As an example, if you do have a tight budget, maybe you only have $100 to spend on your ads per month, this is likely too low for a lead generation campaign right off the bat. My suggestion here would be to run a website traffic campaign for a few months first with that budget to create a warm audience. Then after a few months and you have a warmer audience and significant reach, then you can switch to lead generation campaigns and you're going to get more return on that lead gen campaign than if you were to start with that originally. So testing and budget. If you've read anything about online ads, testing is a huge factor in running your campaigns. Testing really doesn't end. Once you find something that works, it might work for a few weeks or a month or 2, and then you're going to start to see a decline and you'll need to start testing different elements again. So it really doesn't end, and this splits your budget up, essentially, the more tests that you include in a single campaign. So here are some of the test elements that you really do want to focus on and narrow down in your campaigns. The first one being your audience. You might be testing different age group, different demographics, and different interests. Facebook has really robust interest targeting, so play with that a little bit. You might test an audience that's interested in health and wellness as a more general term, and you might test that against an audience who has specific interests in martial arts or Krav Maga. Once you find that audience, you might test the creative aspects of the element, like the ad copy, which is the text portion of the ads, and photos and videos, so your media. Offers are also really important to test to find the right value and what makes sense for your business and what's getting received from your audience. You might test something like a 3-day class pass versus a 5-day class pass, or an intro offer where you have 30 days for $29 or something like that, where it's not necessarily free, but it still has a really high value. Placements is another aspect that you want to test. There are tons of different placements on Facebook and they keep growing, they keep adding them. Newsfeed ads are going to be the most common, but you also have in-article ads, in-stream ads, on the right and left sidebars of your feed, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, all of those types of placements. So test it out, see what works for you, and then you'll kind of know from there what you can use moving forward. With small budgets, the recommendation is to test over time. So if you have that shoestring budget of $100 a month, that's not to say that you can't be successful on Facebook, but it is going to affect how you approach your campaign. So if you have that $100 and you need to test 2 different audiences, start with that until you find what works. Then introduce different tests of copy and photos. You'll run into trouble if you test too many elements at the same time. You're not going to know which test is actually working and where you're getting the success from if you're testing 3 different photos and 3 different types of copy with 5 different interests. There's no way that you're going to know which factor is influencing your campaign. So narrow it down, test one aspect at a time, and keep it concise. If you have a larger budget, we can test some of those elements at the same time. That might look like testing 2 different audiences as well as different media types. And then we'll test the copy or offers later on. Another question that we get often is, what should my offer be? What makes a successful offer? What should I be putting on my ads? The general rule here is high value, low commitment. You want to offer something that is really valuable to your customers, to the client base that you're trying to reach, but it's also low commitment. By nature, Facebook is still a social platform. It's changing slightly in the way that users know that their ads are tailored to them and they are more clickable because of that reason, but in general, they're not ready to commit. So we see offers like buy 2 months, get 1 free, or commit to 6 months for $97 a month. Those are great deals, but they're not great for the platform. They're too high commitment and you're asking too much from your audience at that point, just from a Facebook ad. I think oftentimes we forget our own behavior on the platform. And I know I certainly wouldn't sign up for a 6-month commitment off a Facebook ad. So keep that in mind when you're putting your offers together, with the general rule of adding value where you can and low commitment. Typically, we see the most success with free offers. So those class pass, play with different days, 3-day class pass, 5-day, 7-day, or generously discounted intro offers. So like that 30 days for $29. Ideally, your offer is going to allow your prospects to experience your facility and everything you have to offer to the fullest. You want them to get the full picture when they come to you so they know what they're getting into. Once they have a feel for your business, they're more likely to convert to membership. That's where we can run into decline in success with something like a free class. It is a great intro, but are they really seeing everything that your business has to offer in just one free class? Maybe not. So take that into consideration also and do your research. Look at the businesses in your area and see what their promotions are. Most likely they have some type of offer as well, and set yourself apart from it. If you're offering a 3-day class pass and your competitors are offering a free week, then what is going to cause that prospect to come to you instead of your competitor? Not that you have to match them on that free week or give them something better or more things for free, but add value where you can. If you can add in like a grocery list or online resources, accountability groups, a free t-shirt, something like that, anything where you can add value to the offer without making it free if you're tight on budget and can't swing like a 2 free weeks or something like that, you definitely don't need to. Rule of thumb, add value where you can and keep it low commitment. We got the question for evergreen offers versus new offers every time you're refreshing your ads. And the general rule here is both. So having an evergreen offer is great, something that you're offering all the time. It's a standing offer available to anyone at any time, something like a 3-day class pass or something like that. That is something that we can use on remarketing, or it's always running in the background and a part of your ad strategy. Seasonal offers also do well, something like a summer boot camp or back to school self-defense classes. Those do really well, but that's not to say that you need to remove your evergreen offer. We can use different offers at different points of your campaign objectives, and we'll get into that next. But in general, you want to keep your audience engaged. So we run into a little bit of a decline when we see customers or businesses stop their ads after every promotion. So they have a 6-week challenge that they want to promote. We run that for a month or two, and then their ads are dormant. They have nothing running until they can come up with another promotional offer. Instead of having that downtime, that's where you'd want to plug your evergreen offer. You're keeping your audience engaged, and you're building more of a warm audience. The issue with stopping your ads completely is when you start back up again, you have to start that whole process over again, where Facebook has to learn what people to send your ads to, and you're starting that optimization over again. So it is best to keep something running, even if it's a traffic campaign with $2 a day. That's perfectly fine, but you're still building your audience that way, which is really valuable. Campaign types and objectives. This is another aspect of your campaigns or ad strategy that is really important and requires a lot of testing. So I listed 3 here that we see a lot of success with, and they work really well together. General rule here is try different objectives and test different combinations. You want to, again, create a warm audience. That's the whole goal that you're trying to accomplish here. How you do that is going to look different. Going back to the first example that we talked about of running website traffic, that is a really great way to start your ad funnel. With the type of content that's available online these days, there's a lot of free, valuable content. There's a lot of free webinars, podcasts, blogs. There's so much free content out there, and that's what's expected in online marketing. So the website traffic really helps you build rapport and authority with the audience that you're trying to reach. With the website traffic campaign, it's important to send them somewhere of value. So not just to your homepage of your website, but to a blog post or to a checklist or to download an ebook or something like that, where they can get something from you without you asking anything. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles, but a simple blog post on how self-defense impacts kids in their elementary years or something like that is something of value and speaks to the audience that you're trying to reach. The pros of the website traffic campaigns are it drives more website visitors, creates that warm audience and brand awareness. The cons here is there's no contact info collected. So you're not getting anything from them right away, unless they fill out a lead capture widget on your website, which is definitely possible, but it's not the main objective here. At that point, it would just be a bonus. So going at website traffic campaigns with the understanding that it's part of the long-term strategy. You might not see the results you're looking for right away, but it's really important to warm that audience so that you do get the return you're looking for when you start the lead generation campaigns. Another objective that we're seeing success with that Facebook rolled out fairly recently is the messenger ads. Messenger ads are great because the prospect starts the conversation first. They click on the ad, it takes them to Facebook Messenger, and they're able to ask questions or maybe answer a question that you had posted in your ad, where maybe you said, message us with your #1 fitness goal and we'll set you up with the free session or something like that. You're getting those responses, it's immediate contact, and it's informal. So the prospects are a little bit more comfortable interacting with you than maybe filling out a form with their contact information. The cons here is that there is no formal contact info collected unless you get that through Facebook Messenger if you're asking for their email. And the other con might be that you do need to communicate through Facebook Messenger. So if you don't have a staff member or someone on hand who can really track those and be on top of the messages, it's not going to get the value that you need out of it. So it is really important to have someone who can jump in and initiate those conversations right away. From there, lead generation works really great for getting that lead info. And the lead generation forms can also be linked right to your Zen Planner software, which is great that you don't have to track it through Excel or anything else. The cons here is that it can be a little expensive. You're asking more at this point. You're asking for their contact information with the understanding that you're probably going to reach out to them. The leads know that at this point, which leads them closer to making a sale, which makes them more expensive on the Facebook platform. Any combination of these can work well together. Start with the low cost, low commitment objectives first, like messenger ads or website traffic, and then you can get into more high value objectives like lead generation or conversion optimized ads. Another aspect of the ads that we get a lot of questions about that is really important for converting your leads is the content. I love this stat because it really brings into perspective how important it is. This is from Ad Espresso, that images are responsible for 75 to 90% of an ad's performance on Facebook. Obviously, that's huge, and we know that. Think of your own behavior on the platform and what catches your eye and what you like to click on. It's really high quality content. So I wanted to give you some specifics on what that might look like because it varies. This doesn't mean that you need a professional photographer to come in and take amazing photos. You don't need to spend that money to be successful on Facebook ads, but you do need to put some thought into it. So the recommendations right now for most Facebook placements is 1200 by 1200 pixels, which is a square image. The reason for this is because mobile, it's optimized for mobile. Most of the traffic and engagement that you will get is from mobile devices. And when you think about 1200 by 1200 in a square, it takes up the most real estate on your screen and it demands more attention. That's not to say that you're not going to get substantial results with a rectangular image or something that doesn't fit these specs, but this is the recommendation for getting that as best as it can be. The other recommendation is text. So Facebook has really cracked down on this lately. It will still let you run images that have more than 20% text. It will give you a little warning to say that you might not get results with it, but it is going to let you publish it. The recommendation here is images should have less than 20% text or none at all. If you can do none at all, that's typically where we see the most success. Keep your text in the copy portion of your ad and let the image speak for itself. Video length, 15-second max. This keeps decreasing. It used to be 30 to 45 seconds, and now it's down to 15. And that's simply because the attention span on Facebook is extremely short. Again, they're not here to shop. So show off your space. If you have a promo video that you can put up there, that's great. Video does work really well, but the content and quality does play a major factor. That's why we always suggest testing with images also, because that might resonate better. Other tips to keep in mind with your content is keep it to a single focal point, and that stands for static images and videos. You don't want too much going on. You want there to be a singular focus that draws the eye. Keep in mind the colors that you're using or that are in your backgrounds of the lighting, that kind of thing. Again, you don't need to be professional, but just be mindful of it. Putting any type of attention on those things are going to result in higher quality content. The biggest one here is personal images from your facility. That is really big. So if you don't have professional photography or this is an area where you struggle, get your best Instagrammer and have them take some pictures for you. It's really important that these images are personal and reflect your business. In the boutique market, everyone has a unique feel to their business, and you want to show that off. Stock images don't perform well in the boutique industry for that reason. People recognize stock, and it creates mistrust. If someone comes in for your offer and they see your facility looks nothing like the stock image on your ad, then they're not on the same page as you, and they're maybe questioning what's going on there. So if you can really put some intention on your media and make sure that it's your business, your members, your programs. And the last section here that I wanted to go through is the lead follow-up. So the actual conversion. So we've optimized our campaigns with the other points that we've gone through to this point to make sure that we're getting the most qualified leads. And now we need them to convert to students. Remember here that online ads are only a piece of your sales strategy, not the entire thing. As much as we would love for prospects to fill out the form, sign up for our membership straight from the Facebook ad, it's really not likely, and that shouldn't be your expectation. So you've got your leads, and at this point, you're funneling them into your prospect funnel that you're using to follow up. It's really important that you have some type of funnel in place that lets you follow up in a timely manner. Our recommendation is 6 to 8 touches through a mix of channels within the first 2 weeks of getting their information. So mix it up between email, phone, text, any media channel that you have to contact them, and see where they're the most responsive, and that might help inform your decisions going forward of how to contact your leads. Another major point that I should have bolded here because it's so important is the quality is just as important as frequency. It goes back to providing value. If you're following up 6 to 8 times in the first 2 weeks, only asking your prospects to come in for your offer, it's not going to be as successful as if you're giving them value in those reach outs. So think blog posts, tips and tricks, recipes, industry updates. This is going to help you gain trust with your prospects and position yourself in a point of leadership in your industry. So they're going to be able to get valuable content from you where they can then assume that they'll continue to receive that same valuable content if they sign up for a membership. So really put some thought into the types of emails that you're sending and make sure they're personable. A personable welcome email is severely underrated, and it's really important to have that personal touch in your emails and make them feel safe, that they can trust you, that you're knowledgeable, and you're not just pushing them for a sale. At this point, they know that they've filled out a contact form on an ad and that someone is trying to sell them something. You want to get away from that and focus more on education, and then you can sprinkle in some offers on your emails or in your reach outs to see if you can get them in the door. That's where we see the most success. Keep in mind that long-term nurture strategies are really successful. You never know when a prospect is going to commit or when they're going to convert. It might take a few weeks, it might take 6 months, it might take a year, but don't lose contact with those people. If you have long-term email campaigns that you can send out once a month, every other month, anything like that, you have contact information, so make sure to use it. And don't ever stop using it. Don't assume that they're cold leads after those first 2 weeks and they haven't converted. Maybe they haven't even responded to you. Keep reaching out and keep providing value where you can. That is all I had today about the different points of the campaigns that factor into getting qualified leads and how you can optimize that conversion rate throughout your campaign management.
Cool, and that leads perfectly into the next webinar that we're going to be doing on March 4th, which is on the new prospect funnel that's been put into every database that ZenPlanner has. So I'm going to include in the follow-up email a place for you to register for that webinar. Otherwise, let me take a look at our questions and see if we have anything that popped up.
Okay, so we did get a question earlier on of who monitors the ad traction, click costs, and lead costs. I'm assuming that means with Zen Planner. We have a team here, the PPC team, that manages all of the campaigns for their specific clients. So we have one dedicated person per client, and they manage all aspects of that campaign. So every week we're going in and optimizing those campaigns 1 to 2 times per week. And then once a month, we're doing a deep dive to see if we need to refresh or test something new. To monitor the click costs and lead costs, that's what we're looking at weekly when we go in. So if we see that one image is performing better than another, it's getting you a lower cost, we're going to turn off the underperforming ads and push your budget towards the ad that is giving you the most success. Typically, we like to see cost per lead under $20. That can vary depending on your industry. It is a little bit higher for CrossFit, just for perspective. CrossFit has a little bit more barrier to entry, or maybe a little hesitation on the lead side of things, where they need a little bit more nurturing in order to commit. So we do see a little higher cost per lead there. Also for kids campaigns, we see higher costs on kids campaigns because the target market is harder to reach. We can only target parents through Facebook, and we're not entirely sure how Facebook finds a parent. So we find that it is typically harder to reach that target audience, which makes the costs a little bit higher. The minimum ad spend on Facebook is $1 a day. I don't recommend that, but Facebook will let you do it. As long as you're doing $1 a day, you're able to run something. That's definitely too low for lead generation, but you might get some success with messenger ads or website traffic. It can be fine for that. How long do you let an ad run before making creative changes? That's a great question. That is going to vary, but typically we like to let the first iteration of the ads run for a month or two is what it boils down to. But since we're going in every week, we're going to see some changes in how your ads are performing right off the bat within a few weeks. So that's where we might turn off the underperforming audience or the underperforming copy, underperforming images, and push your budget towards the one that's working the best. But I'm not changing anything. I'm just shifting where your budget is going. Then after a month or two, I'm looking for either a decline in leads, or I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting that cost per lead under $20. And then I'm going to say, okay, we need to change something about this. The audience is really important. I would recommend testing that first, because once you find the right audience, the images and the copy are going to resonate a little bit better. So don't assume that your image is wrong right off the bat. Tweak your targeting a little bit and then move to the creative aspects, because most likely the audience targeting is the biggest factor in why it's underperforming. For seasonal offers like Christmas, back to school, how far in advance do you start that campaign? Great question. That kind of varies by season. So for summer, for example, we run a lot of summer camp campaigns. We're going to want to get those started mid-April to May, because we want those to be running a few months before the start dates of those camps. And we're warming that audience again. That's a huge factor. And even if we're not getting that summer camp promotion up in April, we want something else running at that time. So maybe we still have that website traffic campaign, and we're going to use that audience in the summer to target for your summer camp campaign. For Christmas, it is a little bit different. Those need to start a lot earlier based on how the trends are during that season. So for Christmas, I would recommend around getting those started end of October, mid-October to end October, or scaling back is another option there. During the holiday season, there's a big push for commercial products and not necessarily on services and memberships. So in general, we see a decline there. So just keep that in mind for that season. So we have a question asking about running an ad for an event. for only 1 to 2 weeks before the event. And what's my take on that? Ideally, you're having an audience that you're reaching already. So if you're just starting Facebook ads for this event and you have never put them out there before, you might not get the traffic that you're looking for if you start just 1 to 2 weeks before an event. Ideally, you're cultivating that audience 3 to 4 months prior to an event. If you have ads running ongoing throughout the year, you can definitely start that closer to the event. But the main message being you want to have a warm audience before you promote any type of offer or event. All right, another question on best approach to creating landing pages for ads. Our team does do landing pages as well. The biggest thing there is the call to actions and where they're placed. You want them to be strategically placed on the page, and keep it concise. So we see a lot of landing pages come through that have piles and piles of content on them, and you could scroll for a minute or two seeing all of the content on there. Keep it concise. Add value. So don't just be selling the entire time on the landing page. Give them some type of value that we were talking about. So whether it's tips for healthy living or self-defense, practical self-defense tips or something like that, give them a little taste of what you can offer, and that's going to make them more likely to convert. But it really comes down to the content on the page and strategic calls to action. One last question here about boosting posts versus ads. Definitely suggest running ads rather than boosting posts. Boosting posts can be great for engagement on your Facebook page or the post itself, but you can't get as specific with targeting. So you're not going to get the demographic targeting options that you have with ads, and that is really key to your success. So I would definitely recommend running ads rather than boosting.
We have one last question on whether or not Zen Planner will run your ads. And yes, we do offer website and digital marketing packages. And that's the team that Sarah's on here that helps you engage with your customers or your potential leads. So I'll include information on who to reach out to in the follow-up email, as well as the recording of this session and a link to next week's webinar or the March 4th webinar. But otherwise, we will go ahead and close out here, and we'll see you at the next webinar.
Thanks, guys.